in selective Asian countries. To Professor Huang, we are very grateful for your willingness to spend time, energy, and thought with us. And for the student participating in the 3-in-1 course, make the most out of this opportunity. I hope you can actively discuss directly matters related to the material we are conversing with today. Apply the student-centered learning as the best learning method. Finally, we wish you to have a fruitful discussion. Hopefully, it will bring benefits to all of us. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Professor Dr. Insinyur Kevi Sukesi, for the speech. And before we come to the lecturing session, so let's have a photo session together. For all participants, please kindly turn on your camera and give your brightest smile. So maybe for Mr. Mawan, Buleli, Mr. Mawan, yang capture this.
I can help to take a picture. Yes, I can help.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, Buleli, you can count it.
Okay, I will count 1, 2, and 3, and I will take the picture to all of the participants. Is it already all of you open your camera? Some of the students still not open the camera. So please open your camera first. Okay, so on 3, I will take a picture. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Smile. Okay, next slide. 1, 2, and 3. Smile. Okay. Wait, another slide because there are a lot of participants. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Smile. Okay, the last one. I'm sorry. 1, 2, and 3. Smile. Okay, finish.
Thank you, Ms. Fitratullaili. So thank you for the audience. And now we come into the main point, that is lecturing program, which will be delivered by our keynote speaker today, Professor Wenchi Huang from National Pingtung University of Science and Technology. And this lecturing and discussion session will be led by our moderator, Mrs. Fitratullaili, SPMP, and to Prof. Wenchi Huang and Mrs. Fitratullaili, time and place are yours.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for Ms. Rizkiana, the first one. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for all for finding time and visiting today's guest lecture. My name is Fitratullaili, and I am one of the lecturer of Laboratory of Sociology and Community Empowerment in Brawijaya University, and as your moderator for today. And also, I'm not forget to give a welcome to the students of Taiwan University of Agriculture and Forestry. Thank you for joining us in this today guest lecturing. The first thing I would like to give a brief introduction about our guest lecture for today, Professor Wenchi Huang, PhD from NPUST University. With the title of the guest lecture for today is Responding to Social Change, Farmer Organizations in Selective ASEAN Countries. Before we start our guest lecturing for today, let me explain how you can talk to us during the guest lecture. If you have any questions during the presentation, you just write them to the chat, or you can raise your hand and I, as the moderator, will let you speak. So, dear our student, to begin with, I would like to inform you for our agendas for today. There are 3 sections. The first one is presentation. The second section is question and answer session. And the last one is conclusion from the guest lecturer. So without any further ado, we will turn the time over to please welcome our guest lecturer, Professor Wenchi Huang. The time is all yours.
Okay, thank you very much for the very nice introduction. So I started the 3-in-1 program with Ravi Jaya last year. So I'm kind of excited to receive the invitation again to have the chance to talk to the student and maybe the member of the faculty. But it's always been a very challenging time for us because we are also at the middle of the semester. So I'm trying my best to prepare something maybe of interest to the audience in here. Okay, so for today's topic, it's already been posted. So it's really about farmers' organization in selective Asian countries. So I would like to use my past experience of interacting with these organizations, maybe to share some thoughts about it. Okay, so I actually prepared my own self-introduction. I got my Bachelor of Foundation Taiwan University, and then I went to United States to get my master and PhD. And my major field of interest is actually in resource and environmental economics and smallholder issues in agriculture and rural development. So I think it's very much in line with the talk for today. Okay, and I have a good news to share with you. I recently got the Lifetime Outstanding Teaching Award from the university. Just happened this month. And I also got an award from the Cultural Professional Award for Taiwan Cultural Economic Education Association. So they just announced a few days ago. So I've been serving in the board member for the Rural Economic Society of Taiwan ever since I come back from the United States, and I have been serving as the board member of the, there is a very known name here, it's a regional NGO group called Asian Partnership for Rural Human Resource Development in Rural Areas. In abbreviation, it's called AsiaJAR. So I serve at the AsiaJAR for 12 years as a board member. And at this current stage, I'm serving as a member of the Council of the Leaders, which is an alternative names of saying that I'm already stepped down as a chairperson for the organization. So I'm in the counseling role. I have been advised 11 doctoral students from 8 countries and 122 master students from 26 countries. So I had a few experience of working with the student, in particular on the issue of smallholder farmers organization related topic or researches. So for today, my talk is going to, well, of course, it's the main theme is about social change, and so we'll talk a little bit as to set the stage for the talk for today. And from the title, it's difficult to tell which Asian country I'm going to pick, right? So I think in the outline, actually, I point 3 major organizations, and if the time permit, we can talk about some cooperatives and in the regional areas. So it's already in this PowerPoint that I prepared. Okay, so we'll be talking about Japanese agricultural cooperative JA, the NOHYAP in Korea, which is also the agricultural cooperative systems. And for Taiwan, we have a dual system of farmers associations and agricultural cooperatives. So, and of course, I'm based in Taiwan, so I think I will spend a little bit more time to talk about the Taiwanese scenarios. Okay. I think just quickly to run through the process of social changes we have been observing. Impact from migration, urbanization. So in particular, in these 3 major Asian countries, Korea, Taiwan, and Japan, we all experienced very similar scenario of deserted rural villages, and due to people moving outbound. merger of public administrative region, simply because there are not so many people living there anymore. So how to revitalizing the local rural economy become a main concern or issues. Okay, and also from rural communities, there is a labor shortage problems in the rural areas. At beginning, of course, a seasonal labor shortage has always been the norm. So there are some action being taken, such as farmers will exchange labors, but I think nowadays it become a regular shortage problem. So when we started to look at what are the new norms after or before, even before COVID-19, we already have a problem with not able to find people who will be willing to working in the rural areas, and farmers who are engaged in particularly labor-intensive activity has been advised to change into different norm of operation. The mechanization or using AIs to make sure that they can do some labor saving activity, or by using mechanized operation is already being in place. But then there is not just about shortage of labor, but actually the man operator. So 90% and above of the farming operations in those Asian countries are operated by farming households. So it's not just about who is running it. It's really actually we are short of a succession generation. So it so happened that in these countries, actually, in a culture-related census, nowadays there is a question always show up in there. So, do you have a succession, arrangement, or do you have people will be succeeding the farming operations? Okay, so we even had the independent statistics for farming household that are above both member, because when we talking about farming household, normally the typical operation is done by husband and wife, and so it so happened that in many of the farming household, both of the men operator are more than 65 years old. So the last census concluded 5 years ago indicated that our average farmers age is 63.5 years old, and Japan is around maybe 2 years more than ours. So we are in that range, and I'm excited to see what would be the result from this year's census, because it just finished the data collection. So we haven't been able to see the first statistic about it yet. So I think that's the reality in here. And also the last one is really due to the social changes, and we have the rural-urban divide. And it used to be the case that the consumer knows very well of where their food come from, what do they look like in the field. Okay, but nowadays it's getting difficult, because it's people sometimes taking as a joke and saying that, how can you have a chicken that has 6 legs? Because that's how it was packaged in the supermarket, and when people buy it, it's in that form. So some young children will say, "Oh, okay, so we got a chicken with 6 legs," and when you ask them where do the chickens come from, they will tell you that from the fridge or from the supermarkets on the shelf. So so they do not know how this live animal linked to the laying of eggs. So food education become a very important component to educate or to communicating with consumer on what can the rural area offer not just as a food, but also for amenity, for enjoyment of life or things like that. So I think this is really the, well, we said it's a challenge, but maybe it is also an opportunity for people who are take seriously in looking at their career in the rural area. Okay, and of course there are some infrastructure issues that are being discussed, and such as the whether you have the same accessibility to internet services, accessibility to health and sanitary services. I think these are the really background to it. And so it show up in some basic statistics about the per household ownership of like cars and motorcycles and the bicycles. I think nowadays we observe actually that when we look at the residents in the urban area and in the rural area, sometimes we'll use this statistics and to try to convince the student. We said, okay, look at the number. There are more cars per household in the rural area than in the urban centers. And they have more air conditioning units. They have bigger spaces. Because for people who live in the urban area, they can use public transport, and it's too expensive to try to park their cars and to have a space to, they might need to buy a parcel of land so that they can park their cars. So it's too expensive to keep that kind of access. So the public transport is very convenient. There is no need actually for them to have their own private vehicle. But in the rural area, if you want to go anywhere, so the public services from bus routes and mass transport is not so convenient. So,
Prof. Huang,
so that is
sorry,
still
your
yes?
PPT is not moving to the next slide.
Not yet, because I'm.
Oh, not yet. Okay, I'm
You're
sorry.
looking at the last.
Yes, because you talk about numbers, so I think there is a diagram or table in there. Okay, it's okay.
No, because no, that part is so common, so I did not have diagram for that.
Okay.
So actually, yeah, thank you for reminding me. But
Yes.
yeah, we are moving to the next slide.
Okay,
So
thank you.
yeah, so but the issue that we mentioned about is not just happening in East Asia. So it has been happening for some time. I think it's globally. Okay, so actually in 2008, our farmers group was invited by the World Rural Forum, which is headquartered in Spain, to participate in the first their international meeting for family farmers. Okay, they invited one or two farmers from each continent, because at that time the World Rural Forum was not such a big organization, so it's not affordable for them to invite a lot of people to join their meeting from other continents. But anyway, one of our farmer representative was selected in Asia region and happened to come from Taiwan to share his thoughts about what is the problem faced by family farmer during that time. So it was the initiating point for the World Rural Forum to take out on this global campaign promoting the United Nations to designated one of the year to be the International Year of Family Farming. So after so many years of effort and linkage with other regional farmers organizations, this did happen. Okay, so United Nations actually designated 2014 as an International Year of for Family Farming, and they had a lot of project going on and stimulate a lot of government to start taking in the issue of rural livelihood, in particular the family farming issues. With the very successful campaigning to make it happen, which is initiated by farmers organization and the civil society organization. So it's not the activity initiated by the government, which is quite unusual for an UN's initiative. They were able to convince the Filipino government to propose, because you have to have a country representative to making such proposal in the General Assembly meeting of the United Nations to make it happen. So it was really, it's not it cannot be done singularly by the farmers organization. You still need the help of the government to cooperate it. So it's a good example for how this global issue being taken globally at many levels. And with the success, they started to promoting the International Year of Family Farming +10, because for 1 year it's difficult to really finish major issues or accomplishment, even though they actually was quite convincing. So I think that was a well taken noted activity, but it actually allowed the farmers organization to be linked up with the civil society organization and continuously to pursuing the next step, which has also been a pretty good success, because with the Sustainable Development Goals in place and start implementing in 2016, the campaigning group for the IYFF +10 said, okay, as family farmers, we can accomplish so many goals in the SDGs, and so let us help. So they were able to convincing the United Nations to designate the decade of family farming, to initiate the project from 2019 to 2028. So the target is through the help of family farmings, UN can make less effort. No, they still need to make the same effort to achieving SDG, but that become a focus activity that each of the country were encouraged to set up their own organization to promoting the decade of family farming. So I think this is it's a movement still building up. Okay, and the initiator, the World Rural Forum, actually said, well, but when we're promoting family farming, we still have a problem, because each of the family farming units are very small. So they still have an issue about access the market and how to improve the quality and get financial resources, all this kind of thing, and even for human resource development, how to train the successor. You can use a public entity such as National Pinto University of Science and Technology. We were one of the organizations to receive the full scholarship recipient of the young people from the family farms that they want to be the successor for their family farm, and then they can apply for the full scholarship from the government, and then they got enrolled into our full scholarship program at the undergraduate level. Okay, so it's a very special training that we have. So from the again, this is still on the global response. So it is still a fact that the for family farm, it's small, so they don't want to promote the so-called cooperativism, okay, which is laying the ground for my talk today, because at the global level they are still promoting it. But in here, I highlighted several words. So in the past, they said cooperatives are cooperatives, but nowadays they are accepting the idea that in some country, actually, we don't call it cooperative, we call it associations. So it's called farmers. So farmers organization can be in different form, but either case, the cultural cooperative or business entity, but the association can be a social enterprise. that said to be the nonprofit organization helping farmers, but actually in eventuality, they still need to sustain themselves. And so it is in the form of farming related supporting business in a way. So I want to follow their sentence here. Is of course it's really very much in line with my talk today, because the three countries that I picked as a main focal point to talk about the farmers organization and how they evolve and coping with the new situations. Two of them are called themselves cooperatives, and one of them in Taiwan is actually called Farmers Association. So I think in here, I just want to say that both of the terms are now acceptable to talk about the enhancing or promoting cooperations among farming families, okay, or farmers themselves. So the first organization I want to show is actually the Japanese very famous organization called JA. Okay, so even for the local people, they called it JA. I'm so sorry that because in their English website, it's very difficult to find this a good diagram to show it. So I did not really translate it, but there is a link there, down there, okay, that link to their English website to explaining it. So I think I will just verbally explaining the Japanese organizations. Why? Another reason is because for when we talk about agricultural cooperatives in Taiwan later on, we actually need to go back and to talk about who helped the agricultural cooperative to be established at the beginning. So it's actually the Japanese. So one of our oldest farmers association claim that they have more than 100 years of history. Well, our nation just celebrated its 110th National Day, and so more than 100 years is not 110, so it's a little bit more than that. So it was established during the Japanese colonial time. So it means that the cooperativism is already there, because the farming situation in those early time is also not very much in the big scale, but they don't really look the same as the current stages. Even for the Japanese one, you see this huge circle there. I'm not quite sure if you can see my mouse moving, but so in their organization, their cooperative member is more than 4.1 million people, and their associated member are 6.2 million people as of 2020. So they have a federated organization for the cooperatives at the national level, but aside from this cooperated businesses, okay, they actually had the counseling or a way to coordinating or give some extension of supervisional services is actually by provided by this red one. It's called Jazenju. So it's a central organization for providing services. But when you look at their business group, it's a farmers organization, but they actually are composed of several business that combine into providing the services. So they have a business operation. So mainly the members are farmers in themselves. So it's about the farmers being able to access into the market, and they will provide supply, they will provide extension training program for the farmers. But there are also insurance divisions that are a part of their business group. So it's a separated operation by having insurance for human, for cars, for their houses. Okay, they started with this, and then of course they started to have agriculture related insurance aside from human, car, and vehicle. Okay, and then they have this banking system for agriculture financial services. So in this orange color one is actually their financial divisions, and they have media for agricultural news, and they have the tourism services and health or welfare related businesses. So it's a very comprehensive service being provided. So it is still very interesting for our farmers organization to learn what kind of new changes has happening in Japan. Like, okay, they started to allow the farmers association JA. Okay, so I should stick with this JA term. Okay, so the JA can be merged because their reduction of rural household in operation. They have they run supermarkets. Okay, so it's not just for the rural people, but also for people. I mean, basically it's a supermarket system. So it's provide the venue for the farmers to provide their product to be sold in the supermarket system run by JA itself. The credit department is very important for get loans and all this and assurance again. So I think it's providing comprehensive services through the service of the farmers to the farmers themselves through this cooperative system. So let's move on to the next case is the Korean case. For the Korean case, it's called, you can try to not pronounce it, Nonghyap. So it's really very much like, well, it has a very similar pronunciation in my mother tongue, so in Mandarin. So, but basically, it's a National Agricultural Cooperative Federation is this NACF. It's very interesting because it has a very clear structure, as indicated here, that they are two distinctive services being rendered. So the first one is really about the banking system. So the banking system, the financial system was a separate operation from the agribusiness groups. Okay, so you can see in all their structure that it's very apparent. So the cooperative banking is one unit, and then the extension and support unit for the farmers themselves for their farming operation is on the other side. So so under this main central framework, and then they divided into the agribusiness group and the financial groups. Okay, so they have its individual subsidiary, but then I think the focal point for us in the will be looking at the agribusiness group because it's really on marketing and supply of agriculture and livestock product, responsible for vitalizing the advancement of expertise and increase their operational efficiency in product distribution. So you will see that they have wholesale markets, they have the import markets, they have the supermarkets operated. Okay, and their financial groups also is it's got merged into the same organization, so they have a subsidiary company to work on that. And actually, for at the federated unit system, they even had the other supporting services such as think tank, research units, and I think structure-wise very similar to the Japanese component. But in here, we don't see a separate operated the system for the insurance being a separate business. I think it's probably being incorporated in the Korean situation. So now I think I'm going to move on to the farmers organization in Taiwan. Actually, because the topic is not just about farmers association. So I will first talk a little bit more about the farmers organizations in Taiwan. These are all in the rural areas, but of course for some farmers association, because due to urbanization, those used to be in the rural area become in the urban center. So that would be a different scenario. So we have two types of farmers organization in Taiwan. The first one is a multi-purpose organization. We'll talk about more about it later. So basically there are two types. One is a farmers association, and the other one is a fishermen's association. Okay, and multi-purpose means that they provide several services. They always claim that they have a social characteristic, they have cultural characteristic. It is also an economic entity. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about their structure at the grassroots level later. And the other types are specific services, such as single purpose agricultural cooperative. So it can be rice, it can be vegetable, it can be fruits, but they were looking at particular item only. And aside from that, we also have a product-specific associations to promoting the organizational operations, which is not looking at the business aspect. Okay, they are not doing selling, but they are doing the policy advocacy. They are doing some different transboundary kind of a cooperation with other entities. Okay, so a good example would be something like the mangoes producers association, or the wax apples industry development organization. So they will be more interested on providing some general guideline on the whole industry. Okay, so sometimes they were collaborated with farmers organization to accomplishing these goals. And also farmers association or fishermen's association both claim that they are multiple purpose cooperative. They use cooperative spirits in operating or to interacting with farmers at the grassroots level. So and the farmers association in Taiwan actually trace their root to the, as I mentioned, the Japanese colonial times agricultural cooperatives. Okay, so let me move to the next one. So this is a organization of farmers and the fishermen association in Taiwan. So in the picture on the right hand side is actually the national organization for the farmers association. Unfortunately, they don't have the English website, and for the bottom part is actually the National Fishermen's Association. Okay, there's a little bit difference though. The Farmers Association has this three-tier system that cover from the grassroots level is the township level Farmers Association, and the middle part is the municipal or county level of the Farmers Association. And we only have one, of course, national organizations for that. Okay, and at the national level, they actually run some processing facility. They have milk factory. They have leisure farms. They have mass media. Okay, such as providing training material. They are preparing examinations for the employee of each of the farmers association. So it's a little bit different system because because of that, some people felt that the Farmers Association in Taiwan looked like a government, because only government has a government servants, you know, for the service personnel, they have the general exam at the national level. But actually in Taiwan, because Farmers Association are all over in every township, they want to make sure that the people who work there all qualify. So they actually had the national exam. So you have to pass that the national exam to be qualified to go for your next stage, which is maybe job interviews at each of the Farmers Association that announce for the jobs. So that's a little bit different system. Okay, let's move to the next page. Okay, so this is actually at the township level of the a typical Farmers Association, because this will give you some good idea of how our system in line with the Korean and Japanese part. So in here, you will see that all of our Farmers Association at the grassroots level would have extension departments. So their major task is to enhancing farmers' technique and the knowledge and operation. And they have actually for extension department, they handle both the three types of person in farming household. So, okay, farmers, operation about agriculture, and second one is actually about home economic operation, normally for the female member of the farming household. And the third one is for the young people. They run the 4-H trainings so that the young people will get to know more about farming as they grow up. Okay, and the second one typically existed in all Farmers Association is the marketing and supply department. Marketing is referring to they conducting cooperative marketing for so that they assemble the very small amount of farmers' product and to ship it together so that they can be sold in bigger volume. They can do the grading together. They can do quality control together. So that's for the cooperative marketing system. But later on, that part become a way to establishing the local branded product that can be sold under the name of the Farmers Association. Supply department is actually for farm supplies. Okay, why this part is important is actually that well, I forgot to mention that for the extension department, if the for instance, if the most of the Farmers Association, they felt that the extension department is a big money spender. They don't generate income. They only spend the money. Okay, so unless you have actively making something very explicit that they have to make it a mandate to run the extension department, otherwise they will not do it, I think. Okay, so we have a special law for the Farmers Association indicated that in the rule it actually says that for the revenue generated by the farmers associations in terms of the profit distribution, 62% of that money should go to the extension department to provide training and cultural activities to enhancing the either from the communication between the farmers and as well as to enhancing their productive skills. Okay, so they should spend money in that way. But what if the Farmers Association is running at the loss? Then they can apply for project to get the sponsorship from the government to help them run the extension or training programs. Okay, so let's come back to this marketing and supply department issues. The government do provide some input subsidies. Nowadays, in the much earlier days, they even supported like chemical fertilizer, but due to the recent quest to looking at the sustainability issues and environmental concerns, so nowadays for input supply, they only work on organic fertilizer, so they don't subsidize the chemicals and any so much. Okay, in some cases they still have in the particular scenario. And for the insurance department, it used to be just operating on like health insurance for farmers and the general life insurance for farmers and some transportation insurance for make shipment of animal product to the market. And then, but nowadays the insurance department also operating on like crop insurance and some income related insurance scheme. I heard some voices, but so then the credit department is basically the banking unit of the Farmers Association. So it's incorporated under one house, which means that, for instance, if the farmers needed to get a grant to get a loan, okay, actually the extension department can help them drafting this proposal and help at least teach them how to write a proposal to get the money. And then for instance, if it's a machinery, and then in the extension department, they can also provide training to use it, enhancing the skill of operating on these machines. So I think, of course, in terms of the internal control, the credit department cannot use this as the reason why they give the loans, but they still need to be independently audited and financed. So, but at least within the same system, they will be able to share this kind of information about, okay, what kind of the training will be needed, because there is a new government loan on particular machineries and things like that. Okay, so administrative and other departments, of course, administrative department is a must, and there are like accounting department and some auditing department. But depending on the business uptaken by the Farmers Association, they could have other businesses, which is a reflection of what is needed in the rural area. For instance, the general manager is appointed by the board of directors, and this is the person who will be running the whole operation. But the performance is not just measured by how much money they are making, because basically it's a non-profit operation. But so the performance then is relating to what kind of service they render to their members. For instance, in the early stages for the economic development in the rural area, they wanted to ease up the burden for maybe women in the household. We wanted to have more female participation in the labor force. So one of the things is that then they need to find proper daycare services or kindergarten services. So some of the Farmers Association taking on this kind of service, then they will get like extra credit for being able to serve their members. So then the general manager has a higher possibility to get appointed after their term ends. Okay, but for nowadays in the rural area, what happened is that because as I said something about during the introduction that because young people went to the city to work, so only the elder people still remains in the rural area. So what happened is that some of the rural, the farmers association located in the rural area, now taking on the meal service. Meal service means that for the elderly who live alone, they might not have proper preparation of the food, so they will actually make meal deliveries so that to make sure that they are well fed. Okay, and they are running like daycare centers, but it's no longer for the kids, but actually the daycare center for the elderly. They will provide transport to bring the elder member to their community center so they can have some activity together. And at the end of the day, they will be going home. But then at least during the daytime, they don't need to worry about the transportations, and they don't need to worry that they have no one to talk to, because then so we are changing the daycare center for the children now are running for the daycare for the elderly. And some are running mobile, not on the mobile phone, but actually on mobile devices such as a van or a vehicle, or some kind of motor devices to bring the nurses and doctors to the rural area to have outpatient service, because some people might not be able to travel to the clinic to get their tests or medical service done. And some farmers association run the clinic actually at the headquarters of their farmers association, so so that they will be able to bring doctor from the city center to have some inpatient service. So that is also a change in services being rendered or provided by the Farmers Association to serve its members. So it has not so much to do with a farming operation, but actually it's about providing a holistic service to the member of the farming household. So so that also give like extra credit for the general manager of the Farmers Association to have a better chance of get reappointed to the position. Some of the urban-based Farmers Association, well, of course, initially was in the rural area, but because the city expanded, so it become like in the peri-urban or in even the suburban area of the urban center. So so instead of, and they faces an issue of a diminishing full-time Farmer Association member, but they are increasing in their associated member who are not farmers. So they even run like a travel agency kind of service to bring their members to visit the link up with the rural farmers association. So they provide like tourism or traveling services for them to visit the rural area, which is also a very good way of making sure there's connection or easier to move people to see what's the exciting part about the rural society. And in the example of the Korean or Japanese system, actually they're supporting trainings for their staff member actually happen in their federated systems. In Taiwan, we have a separate one because we have this specialized unit called the National Training Institute for Farmers Organization. So basically, they are jointly invested by the Farmers and the Fishermen's Association to run the training services. So basically, they provide training to the employed staff member, new ones, and also for those on the job. They even provide training for the newly appointed general manager to make sure that this person is have proper knowledge base about what the rural community or the farmers association's particular rules. So in this way, actually, for instance, if the government announced a new role on insurance, and then the staff member in the insurance division will have to go to the NTIFO to get their training done, so that they know what is the updated version of what kind of insurance coverage and the program they can now provide to the farmers or farming household. So for the credit department, similarly, if there is changes in the financial requirement, they definitely need to go get their updated certifications or renew their trainings content to make sure that they provide consistent services regardless of where this farmers organization is located. So it's very important to know that this is actually jointly invested by the both fishermen and the farmers association, so that such a service can be provided. But of course, aside from giving trainings, and you have the facility already been set up. So NTIFO actually also did training for international personnel. Sometimes they will have a collaborated project with other organizations to implementing training for other member. They can actually borrow their facility. They run a hotel actually. So in the urban center of Taipei City. So some people look at it as a very good alternative venue. And the other one is for banking system. For all the farmers associations basically run the credit departments. Okay, but standing alone, they are simply providing loan product based on their own assets, it's going to be very challenging. So right from the beginning, the government actually had a special loan project that they will, the money actually is available from the governments, but the credit departments of the Farmers Association is a channel for them to get the farmers to have access to the loan. Okay. But then the supervisional capacity, it used to be very complicated because the credit department has different bosses. One is the Ministry of Agriculture, but they also need to be governed by the financial related institution, and Farmers Association being a people's organization. So they also need to abide by the rule of the Ministry of Interior. So it's very complicated. So anyway, we used to have several alternative, like an agricultural financial system that comprise of a land bank, a farmers bank, and the cooperative bank. But this kind of service now is incorporated into this one unit. It's called the Agricultural Bank of Taiwan. So anyway, with this, they can provide supervision and the guarantee function of the banks in the credit department of the Farmers Association. And it's nowadays very difficult to imagine that if your own bank is just one local bank. Okay, so it's very important for them to for the credit departments of the Farmers Association being able to get the ATM to withdraw the cash from some other banking system. So there is some platform jointly offered by the bank itself. And so at the beginning, it's really just the joint ICT platform and information sharing, but then it also provided like joint purchasing of procurement for the supermarkets goods. So because I mentioned about each of the Farmers Association, actually they are standalone. So when they run on supermarket, we cannot say that it's really the supermarket chain. They share the same logo, but it's operate independently. How to make sure that we have more than 300, we have 91 supermarkets run by Farmers Association. So how can we make sure that these supermarkets can more or less provide a much better bargaining power when they want to procure some other product from other services? So then they started to have this joint purchasing centers and logistics center for the Farmers Association to jointly get into the bidding process. And so when I introduced about the Farmers Association or organization in Taiwan, we mentioned that they are not just the farmers, the multiple purpose cooperative, which is the Farmers Association, but we also have individual single purpose agricultural cooperatives. So they all engage in cooperative marketing. So in Taiwan, there are 4 major systems. The first one is the National Farmers Association, comprised of all the farmers associations, which is operated on the administrative zone of different administrative unit in accordance with the government's general administrative boundaries. The second one is actually the agriculture production cooperative. It's a federated system of agricultural production cooperative. And another one is agricultural Taiwan fruit marketing cooperative. It has a very long history. And the last one is the fruit and vegetable cooperative, the 4 units. I'm sorry for this long abbreviation. I don't know. This is the official abbreviation for this organization. But anyway, that will show up in this slide. Okay. So for grains, the only staple food grain is rice. So rice have a very different system. It's to make sure that the food for staple food for rice, we have a special rule governing the safety, storage, and because it's a part of the national security issues. So so basically, it's for government grains. There is a special service that they need to provide. So, but for fresh vegetable and fruits and flowers, they actually allow the Farmers Association to take active roles in the operation of doing assembly and grading and even branding for vegetable and fruits. So in particular, for cooperative marketing, it's very much encouraged, and for the wholesale system, actually it's written in the agricultural transaction law that the wholesale system have to agree that they will give priority to market or to selling the product arranged under cooperative marketing system by the Farmers Association and these top 4 cooperatives. Okay, so this is how the share being presented. Okay, so the blue one is actually the Farmers Association. For vegetable, they account for 36% of the cooperative marketing. The 44% goes to different cooperative, and okay, so in a way, the single purpose cooperative actually account for the rest. Okay, for fruits, actually the Farmers Association has a share of 55%. So well, I think this is just for your quick reference, because why vegetables are more diverse and normally comparatively cheaper, and for fruit it's easier identifiable to have a branded product. So there are specialized Farmers Association take in a special arrangement for their branding of the fruits. So I think fruits is a very big item in Taiwan because our per capita consumption for fruits is even bigger than vegetables. So we'll move on to the next slide. And this one is a special service rendered by the Farmers Association. Well, it's in Chinese on the logo, because the logo itself is really only in Chinese. The logo actually representing what? They said it should be like the tulip flower, but also it looked like the shape of Taiwan, right? Okay, so this is a registered trademark by the Ministry of Agriculture to jointly marketing the product from the home economic groups of the Farmers Association. Okay, they want it to be a fully recognizable identifier, saying that they all in line with the very basic principle of food safety and healthy food ingredients and the way of preparing the food. They need to come from the material should be coming from their local area, and the participant of this we call it Tian Mama. Basically, it's a preparation of a local cuisine. They need to pass the entry level of the food safety examination to be a certified technician to run this food business. Okay, but it's from the home economic groups of the Farmers Association, so they actually have the training program on site. In some of the cases, this Tian Mama system is run directly by the Farmers Association. So it actually provided the income opportunity and also some side job opportunity for the mostly the rural women who is not able to take in the full-time job. They might still have a family to take care of, so they have this job opportunity for them to join in to provide the food services to outsiders. So it can be the winery can be ready to serve food item or even the package the food. So this is a very good way for people to want to do this. I forgot to mention is that actually for this Tian Mama, the food service by this Tian Mama group is that they have to fulfill some basic principle, like it should be low sugar, low fat, low sodium, and then should be high in fiber. Okay, so they're a basic principle for healthy, nutritious food intake. Okay, and if you go link to the website, actually can find more information about it. Okay, so it's being in the integrated marketing scheme to do it, but it's run by the Farmers Association in terms of the trainings and in some cases operation. But it's a little bit different though, because for the Tian Mama group, it's really come from the home economic groups. So in the past, majority of the project participants are female, because Tian Mama is actually mother. Okay, so it's a country mother. So it's really for the women in the household, to rural household, to be able to join this team. So at the beginning, not the beginning, it started in 2003, but anyway, the statistics here only started in 2012, but in 2012, the 90% should be 2012. So in 2012, 91% of the participants are female, but over the years, I think in total number, the female participation has decline in reflection of maybe the change in the rural community. So nowadays, but on the other hand, the male participation in running this restaurant get more interested. So in terms of the number of persons who participate in the project kind of stabilized for male since 2015, and so percentage-wise, 75 now it become 75% female, but 25% male. So I just want to say that this is also another reflection of the changes in the dynamic in the rural area. And okay, for the Farmers Association, they also did this thing. Okay, when they started to collect the product from the farmers, that they went back to the farms to check for the production process. Okay, in some cases get certification or verification. When they collected the product, they still need to find alternative market for this product. So they started to engage in a lot of innovative product development and design. Okay, so since 2006, the government actually started to have this selection of top 100 premium agricultural product, and it's a big name, and put their product into this catalog or brochure. Okay, so a huge award ceremony will give into this top 100 selective items. So farmers organization association take pride in being selected. So it used to be annual event, but later on they changed to a biannual publication or selections. So it's very interesting to have a look at inside. So if you had the chance to look inside better, but I will show you maybe just a very quick glimpse of the pages inside. Like this one is sorry, I think. Okay, that's correct. Okay, so this is how the inside look like. So if you go to websites like a book, but unfortunately they are all in Chinese. So I will just quickly walk you. No, I'm not going to read all the pages. I'm just say for this, like this one, the left-hand side is actually the location map of the following pages and which Farmers Association get which product to be the prize item for the winning design. Okay, and the thing is that on the each of the page, and one page denoted one winner product. So in this case, is pitaya, yeah, the one pitaya fruits. Okay, or we called it the dragon fruit. Okay, so. But there is a QR code on there. It's but I think they should improve on their design because this is actually a e-catalog, right? But I cannot click it. So what you need to do is actually scan it. Use your cell phone. Then it will actually bring you to the website of the Farmers Association. Then they can promote their other products. So that's like this. Okay, so this is another one. This one actually is the rice. Okay, sometimes you can cannot imagine that even for rice they can do this. Okay, so this is for Chisang Farmers Association. So by scanning it, actually it brought to their Farmers Association's own website, and in here. Actually, they are promoting their other rice-related product. So it is a very good way for the Farmers Association to take some interesting thing. Okay, and so. Well, I'm giving away the answer. So up to this stage, I think we can at least come to some general observation of the common feature of the Korean, Japanese, and the Taiwanese, their JAs and NH and our FA. They are all multiple purpose cooperatives. Okay. In terms of operation, well, when you read their website, they all tell you that they are protecting the farmers' right. They are promoting the modernization of agriculture. They are supplying the fine market for farmers, and they are supplying farmers with inputs so that they can have a better input supply, and then finances. So in a simple put it, so you already see the common feature. Still a lot of things about the related to the farming operation itself. So supply and marketing, banking or credit, or extension, education. Used to be looking at just the farmers, and nowadays education or media is tailored toward better communication for consumer. So in the Taiwanese case, through the selection of top 100 items, the farmers are taking pride in being able to be selected, but that's also serving as the media for them to better communicating with consumer who are looking for good quality, good predictable price, and time for being able to get it. So, for instance, I didn't show, but for instance, for the pitaya, actually it has listed there what are the available time. And some have the think tank or research unit in there. Some are not in-house, some are provided by the other services rendered through the extension system of each of the countries. So I think this is kind of the common feature. Well, because I think I still have some time, so I'm going to talk about other kind of organizations in Asia, because the audience, I did not know that we also have the Vietnamese students, so otherwise I could include those. But so there is a regional organization in Asia. It's called Asia Farmers Association for Sustainable Rural Development. It was established in 2002. I think Indonesia was one of the founding organizations. There were only 5 countries at the beginning, and now it's growing to 17 countries with 20 plus organizations. Now is the alpha member. So in that tagline, it says empowering small-scale women and men farmers in Asia. So for members and the Taiwanese organization, not the Farmers Association, it's actually the Wax Apple Industry Development Organization was one of the founding agents, the farmers organizations for this Asian Farmers Association. So actually you can check out the description of about the Indonesian's organization called API. If we have chance, we can check it out. If not, then you can maybe do it check it out yourself. But the growth of this Asian Farmers Association, at the beginning, it only had this 3 in English characters. And they representing farmers in different regions are not exactly the same, but they hand in hand to cooperate with each other. So we were built upon the Farmers Exchange Visit project funded by ASEAN Foundation during 1999 to 2002. So they had like 5 regional meetings by inviting farmers to conducting farmers exchange visits. I think Indonesia was one of those 5 initial visit places. They went to South Korea, Japan, Indonesia, Philippines, and Malaysia during this first batches of activity, and then Taiwan implemented the 6th one through our own funding. So, but another thing is that you see that farmers are wearing different kind of hats, because this is what the members come up with. They actually provide a picture of their farming outfit and find out that they are not wearing the same kind of a hat. So anyway, but later on when it's formal, when it got formally established, the very first president of the organization is from South Korea, and he want to visualizing Asia in this picture. But I think nowadays maybe they need to change this picture a little bit, because now we do have a country from South Asia, from majority of the Southeast Asian country are member. China is not, but the Korean, Taiwan, Japan was one of those major player, and then Mongolia. But then we added some Central Asian countries already, so it's really become even more impactful. But it's not an economic entity. It's really for advocacy, and at the beginning it was set up because majority of the initial member are from ASEAN, and that's why the ASEAN foundations sponsored the very first few farmer exchange visit among the group, because it's in line with ASEAN foundations call to enhancing the human-to-human interaction within the ASEAN region. So I think that was the initial point. But then they invested themselves to engage in multinational activities such as FAO projects and the IFA project, and most importantly is the GAPSP, the Global Food Security Project, that want to help the country falling in this lower income category to be able to enhancing the food security. So that's why they expanded to South Asia and Central Asian country when these countries are the target country for the GAPSP project. So. And this is one of the organization is Japan. So it's different from the JA. Actually, NOCAI is an organization affiliated with the Asian Farmers Association, but it has a very long history. They are the very first promoter for organic agriculture in Japan. So they are the taking in that movement since 1970s. Okay, when organic movement started to spread through Japan. Okay, so they are the very early initiator and still stick very much with their agenda. But this is a little bit different because they also run organic high school. Okay, a vocational high school only teaches organic agriculture. And they have very interesting high school program in there, because it is also the smallest high school in Japan, because it's a boarding school, but it only had like 60 people, 20 each in each year. Okay, so very interesting. We got engaged with their activities through the Asian Farmers Association's exchange visits. I visit their facility there and was very impressed and encouraged. So we, ever since 2005, we started the interaction with them. And then for the past 10 years, except for the 2 years that due to pandemic, we cannot move a lot, we had sent students to learn from this INOCAI organizations, in the past, to know how the organic movement and how they changing. Okay, so they introduced to us about the PKA system. So it's like Western world's community supported agriculture, and how do the farmers communicate with the consumer members, and then they can provide the product in a more sustainable way. So I think this is a very interesting organization. And for Taiwan, we really learned a lot from the farmers organization, and the picture on the left-hand side is actually that we brought our students to visit cooperative farmers association, experiencing on the ancient way of farming operation, and even did our, they try to catch the shellfish in the lake. Okay, so this is one of the leisure activity on the fishery related experience. And then we get to see conservation effort by our professors on the Formosa Bear, which is located in the one of the rural towns, and the pitaya production site at the in the organic way. So we brought our student there. The other right hand side is actually the one of the picture with the student went to the Ainokai for their internship training with in Japan. So and so in here, my department has said I should encourage you to join us. So maybe the student can join us in fall of 2022 if they are eligible applicant for our graduate program. So because actually since from 2022, the international, we used to run an international master degree program, but we want to put it back to our own department. So it will be directly under the Department of Agribusiness Management if you are interested. So I think that probably is what I prepare for the talk. But in the instruction, it says that I should also provide some assignment or question to stimulate the thinking of the students. So I just want to raise this one. What are the major issues facing the rural community, and what can the farmers organization help? If you can share your experience in Indonesia, will be great. And I think I also prepared some, there is a interesting paper by professors in Yale University and other places. The paper itself is pretty relatively new. It's 2001. They basically made a comparison between South Korea and Taiwan's multi-purpose agricultural cooperative. But their time of comparison is the very early stages in the about 1960 to 1980. So it's really our development stages. But they still believe that their finding can be maybe helpful for people who want to starting multiple purpose cooperative and maybe learn from our experience, because I think in both countries we have or even including Japan, they sometimes have a criticism saying that our cooperative in Japan, in Korea, and as well as the Farmers Association in Taiwan actually has a very strong tie with the government. Okay, so we are actually providing a lot of help to the government and from the government. So there is a pretty strong linkages there. And we have established special law to making sure that such operation is in place. So so that's why we are still following pretty much the same system, but you'll see that they are becoming, there are more and more professors and students engaging in the rural activity, and having a functional farmers organization, multiple purpose one, actually help us to get into this scenario. And also mentioned about where we have run into the major problem of labor shortages. So the Farmers Association now also provide like training programs for people who want to engage in the farming and providing maybe short-term labor services. And we have seen that there. And the second is not a published work, but I have been giving to the talks to the International Center for Land Policy Study and Training for many years. and my topic is always about farmers association, but I always wanted to add a new component in this paper. At least I'm not just only talking about farmers association. I try to gather some more information about the cooperative system in Korea and Japan. I speak Japanese, so for me it was not too difficult to get the information about those in Japan, but the Koreans has a little bit challenging. But I knew a very good friend who worked for their federated system, so we sometimes share some ideas about how our system work. So if you ask me question that I probably cannot answer right away, I think I get very good resource person to help me. Then I can answer maybe later. So, and then if you are interested, there is a Japanese and the Koreans website about their activity or a good introduction. So I think I should leave some time for the question, right? It's ended my presentation, so I will stop my sharing. Is that already being stopped?
Okay, thank you for Prof. Huang. It is really an interesting presentation. So, Prof. Huang, it is a little story about me. At 2019, for about 2 years ago, I visited Taipei for the international conference in National Taiwan University. And when I roaming around, somehow I found the agricultural bank. At that time, I wonder what is the function of this bank, and my question answered today by you. So it is really wonderful.
Okay.
And before we move to the question and answer session, I would like to congratulate you again for the award that you get this month. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and now
thank you so much.
Okay. And now we move to the second session, that is question and answer. Anyone have question, you can raise your hand or you can write your question in the chat. Anyone, any question? Or maybe while we wait for another question from our student, actually I have one question for you, Prof. Huang. So regarding to the change that happened and occurred in the agricultural sector globally, so some countries build their organization to face that. For example, there is Alpha, GA, and etc. So my question is how we stimulate the farmer to especially the local farmer to join the organization, as we can see that farmers probably have diverse knowledge and adoption innovation level.
Well, in the Taiwanese scenario, or Korean or Japanese, you'll see that they provide a lot of interesting packages for the farmers. So being the member of the Farmers Association, they have access to a market. They can actually, in the Japanese one, they have a very interesting direct selling arrangements that we also follow very similar system. Okay, for instance, well, some farmers are elderly, but they are not, they are still active, but they don't want to stuck themselves with the contract farming arrangement, but then they can actually go to the Farmers Association, in this case, JA's supermarket. In the backside, they actually had this special entry point that the farmer can go there, bring in their product, and they label it, affixing the label, the same that the one that they use in the supermarket. They can decide on their price. Okay. The money goes directly to their bank. So it's an integrated service. So in this way, you know, when you supply your product to the Farmers Association through the cooperative marketing, they send the product to the wholesale to market for you. And right away on the same day, you already know how much your product got sold in the market. And the money actually will send directly to your bank. And the bank service is rendered by the farmers organization themselves. So for them, it's there is no like extra charge because it's internal transactions. So that attract the farmer to when they have this kind of a constant business services, they will actually look for that. Another one, of course, is because of the insurance arrangement for health insurance that the farmer is not employed. So in other insurance arrangement, your employer actually pays some share for your premium, right? But in this case, the Farmers Association will be acting as the employer. Actually, that part is being supported by the government to pay the difference in these premiums. Okay, so it means that it's attractive for farmers to join in the organization to make sure that they are properly insured for the health insurance. I think a hand raised. So
yeah, there is someone that already raised her hand. So for Ms. Rixiana, you can ask the question. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Laili. So to Professor Huang, so I'm wondering about the one of your slides.
Yes.
Talking about organization of Township Farmers Association in Taiwan. So I'm thinking that it was pouring in my house, and then so I'm just confirming about my understanding about the insurance department. So
yes.
what is covered by Department of Insurance in organization of Township Farmers Association in Taiwan? And the second question is, are all farmers obliged to join this organization? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, for the insurance, the department, basically they are handling the insurance-related affairs. It's not insured by the Farmers Association. They are only the agent. So it means that who is for our health insurance, it's a government insurance, but they needed someone to provide the service. So the Farmers Association is the service media. So it's an agent for providing such service. So the service itself is provided by the government. And for for the product-related insurance, the government has commissioned some insurance company and other organization to provide, but they can use the service in the Farmers Association. So what they do is they collect some fees. Okay. They'll collect fees, and because it's a very convenient location for farmers to go, because they will naturally do a lot of other business with the Farmers Association. Okay. In terms of the membership in the Farmers Association at the township level, it's actually that we have a limit of 1 member per household, because it has a lot of benefits, so they are only limited 1 person per household. But of course, you can say, then how about let's just separate the household and we can have several members join in. Actually, it's doable. So it's just that but then when you have a separate membership, you have to pay membership fee. So, and when you are under 1 household, actually, all the members of the household got covered in many of this operational stuff. So they don't need to really register everyone into the system. But so if you count in the membership number as a proxy for Farmers Association, for farmers in Taiwan, then it's wrong number, because there could be several members in the household that are all engaging in farming, but they are not necessarily independent households, so they cannot be registered as a different, enrollment into the Farmers Association. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay, thank you for Prof. Wang. And there is another student that already raised his hand. For Muhammad Maulidan, you can ask the question for Prof. Wang.
Okay, I can. But sorry, my camera cannot on because it's a problem.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, I want to say thank you very much for the opportunity. And thank you very much to Miss Wenchi Huang for presentation the material. I'm so interested, but topic, and I would like to ask about farm families issue. And farm families live with change and stress because of the intertwined nature of their business and their family life. Stress comes
Yes.
from the combination of responsibility, awareness, and loneliness, juggling of an ephemeral illness or injury, tension between multi-generation, or a combination of ordinary stressor. And we are now recent downturn in the agricultural economy as well as increased weather uncertainties related to climate change. Our products extraordinary distress, despair, diminished education making ability, opioid use and suicide.
Mhm.
What are the public policy action to support farm families because this has been going on for a long time and it's difficult to resolve, and if it has been related to the current policy, how far has the issue been resolved? Thank you.
Okay, actually, I cannot hear your question very clearly. There was some interruption in there, but I try to answer it. First of all, of course, when we say farm, yes, family farming, you have an intertwined activity of but in the past we said, okay, you should have a separate proper account for your family life and your economic activity. But it's for the sake of understanding how well you perform, and how it can be enhanced. But later on, we realized that because one household is on its own, we have something called household production function. So the rule is not simply to make money. You still need to take care of the members being all very happy. Okay, so even for the issue of succession, okay, we had once a farmers exchange visit activity, and they come to visit Taiwan. So because it's hosted by the Asian Farmers Association, the Secretary General, Ms. Esther, has we have known each other for a long time. So, but anyway, on that particular occasion, she was asking one of our farmer leader about this. She asked a question. So, Mr. Such and such, and compare with 5 years ago, what have you achieved in terms of your status, in terms of income and other things? So, the response from the farmer was very interesting, because he said, actually, I earned back a son. Why? Because his son studied horticulture, but he was not interested in inheriting the farming business at the beginning. So he wanted to have his business in the cities. But when he saw that being a farmer has a lot of good benefit, and his father has been award-winning farmer, and their economic situation is really improved because of the very active engagement of his father in doing his business well. And then so he actually came back to help, not help, actually to be employed by the father. So the father said, actually, I pay him like 30,000 NT. I think it's about how much? $1,000 per month. Okay. So it's comparable. It's a little bit better than what he will be earning in outside job. And the thing is that he doesn't need to pay for transportation, housing, food, because everything is being provided, and he get this 30,000 or $1,000 per month of allowance in a way. But then when we exit that room, so I approached the young person, his son, and asked him, so your father told us inside that you get this $1,000 per month for allowance. He said, yeah, but it's in the bank. I cannot really use it because we are so busy with all this stuff. but anyway, but a few years later, well, we learned that the father gradually allowing his son to be more adventurous, to try out new product, to engage in food processing. So actually, they are now in very good terms together. But so in a way, helping the succession process is very important, and encourage the youngster to be part of this operation. So I think it's, through many experience of succession issue inside of a household, of course, when we ask this young person to take a retrospective view on what happened in between, he said it was very hard at the beginning because they do not have a consensus on what is the new direction for the farm operation. And when they try out new things, sometimes the father will object, So it's a very challenging thing that you need to still show that you are able to do it. So what he did is actually he got the young farmers promotion activity by the government. So he has some extra support. He went to high school to be a part-time lecturer, actually to teach the student there how to do tissue culture and actually use their own farm as the practice site. So they have a good interaction with others. I think I learned from this experience that putting the real practice in the field and try to the young person still need to prove to the the elder generation that they are capable, they are innovative enough to take new challenges. Okay, I'm not sure if I answer your questions, but that's that. Okay.
Okay, thank you for Prof. Huang. It is really indeed interesting how we can stimulate the youngster to join the agricultural sector in Indonesia. Too, it is one of the problem in our country too. So because this topic is indeed interesting, both from for the students or for the lecturers. So one of the one that raised the hand is Prof. Kepi. Maybe Prof. Kepi want share the question for Prof. Huang.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I'm very interested about the teen mama.
Yeah, teen mama.
Yeah, about the gender aspect in global area, I think. My question is, what the division of activities and maybe decision of making about the male and female in the global level? For example, maybe male dominant in production and female dominant in marketing, all together. And number two is, how are the impact of COVID-19 to male and female activities in the organization? Thank you.
Okay, I think for the at the global scale, because they always need to answer the question on gender equality. So when we send our farmers to attending the Asian Farmers Association meetings, they were always asking for balanced participation. So when we got 2 slots, it has to be 1 female, 1 male. Okay. So we are trying ways to enhancing the visibility of women representation. In particular, for our AFA's so recent strategic planning for 2021 to 2025, actually it has already been pinged out that aside from their young farmers branches, they want to establish the women's wing. Okay. So it's a very interesting aspect, and actually starting this January, I was helping because each member country to identify a female representative to be representing themselves. So we have to elect 1 member to be the full member representing women. Okay, so we had this female leadership meeting in January so that we can elect a new member. But actually, in terms of the Asian Farmers Association, we see that in some countries, such as the India's, actually the organization joining is actually a female workers organization. So they are completely composed of female only. And the experience of for Koreans, actually, the first organization joining ALPHA is COF, it's a Korean Advanced Farmers Federation. But actually, they had the women's wing. It's called the Women Farmers, Advanced Farmers. It's called WAF. So I met this very powerful female leader one time. So we went to visit Korea. Okay, but on that particular occasion, we just met them a few months earlier, so it's not a new visit, but it's a very first visit for us to go to their headquarters. But they were having this protesting activity for the beef imports from US. So they just finished that this activity. So the leader from COF, the male organization, actually shaved his head so he doesn't have hair during the time of our visit. And the lady chair actually cut her finger because she used the broad to write the letter to do the protesting activity. So I said, wow, these are very equally powerful organizations. I think having the women representation become the norm at least at the global level. So we also started to encourage our females members to be more outspoken. Actually, we have on the job agribusiness management curriculum at the master level for mostly people interested are those working in farmers organization and or cooperatives. It made me have the false impression that all the general manager from Farmers Association are becoming female because many of the female members actually come to us to receive their master program. So while preparing my previous preparation for this talk about Farmers Association, I went to check and find out, well, it's growing, but it's still like 25%. Of only 25% of the general manager of the Farmers Association are female. But when you look at the membership composition of farmer, because they are the head of the household, so still predominantly male. But the thing is that when we got brought up, we always been informed that as a female, you should be keen on numbers. Okay, so you should be the one who take care of the financial understanding of what's happening. And then, so if you control the finance, you are the boss underground. So one time, the farmers has this collaborative project with ASA, which is a computer company. They want to enhance the computer literacy of farmers. So they organize an event, but it turned out that the majority of the participant is female. They did not say that it's only for female, but for farming household, they said, oh, you know, it's the girls are better at this kind of things. So they actually send off only the female to participate, which is more or less good thing because you keep record, then you know what's going on the farm and you're the one who knows best. So that's a way we kind of encouraging our female students. We said, okay, you know, nowadays who control the knowledge and the information is the person who control the power. So if you can specializing in being able to analyzing the data, knowing what's going on in the field, then you will be the one that no one can replace you. So I hope that is answering your question.
Thank you very much. It's very clear.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Laili.
Thank you for Prof. Kepi and Prof. Huang. And because we have a limitation time, so this is the last question. Is it okay, Prof. Huang? So there is one last question from our student. So from Aurora Ivana, he write a question in the chat. So she want to ask the question about when a farmer becomes a member of an organization or association, the farmer get benefits as previously described, but is there any feedback or obligation that the farmer must give to the association?
Okay. Actually, we the Farmers Association charged very minimal fees for the membership because they get the sponsor from the government for some special project, and also they generate income through their supply and marketing division. So not so much, but you, if that organization is what you want to make influence on, then you should take your responsibility as the voices. Okay, so when you have a meeting, you should go. When it's a governance meeting, you definitely need to show your power, okay, by vote. Okay, so I think actually they will distribute a lot of information about participating in particular competition and all that. So that actually needed active engagement of farmer as a member. So if they are just ignore the organization, doesn't involve in the decision-making process, then it's not effectively affecting their life. So I think the engagement is really more important, like engagement in terms of time and participating in the governance activities.
Okay, thank you for Prof. Huang. So that's the last question for our second session, that is question and answer. Now we move to the last question, that is message remarks. Maybe there is a message you want to say to our student regarding how to respond to social change as an agricultural student. Prof. Huang, if you have any message for our student.
For students in our field, we encourage the student to take this opportunity to be different in the field of agriculture it's a very good opportunity, and don't easily get out of this business. So we also need engaged youngster who want to work in the field, and you'll find it rewarding to work hard and be able to well-recognized, accomplished person in the field. And since I think for the student is actually that you feel that engaging in culture is very challenging, but it's also very rewarding if you can be the top player. So I think I hope that you can all become such top player in the field, and good luck. All the best.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Huang, and thank you for everyone. We appreciate you for being here to our guest lecture for today. We do hope that this guest lecture will be the first step to another guest lecture that will be held at 3 November.
Yes.
And we would like to say thank you to our guest lecturer today, Prof. Huang, who share the insightful knowledge to us, and thank you for Prof. Kepi and Prof. Kliwon for joining us to our today guest lecture, and of course to the all participants and my dear students who has participated in this guest lecture too. So I hope that our guest lecture today will benefit to you. We will see you next time, and thank you. Back to the MC.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And so, ladies and gentlemen, so finally we get into the last session, that is closing. So let's close this event by saying Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. And as the master of ceremony, I would like to thank to Professor Kepi, Professor wenchi Huang as the keynote speaker today, and then all lecturers, committee, and our beloved students entirely. So may what we had conducted today will be useful for us. Stay safe, stay healthy, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody.